Welcome to the White Sox Recap Podcast. I am Ryan McGuffey, and it's been a bit since our last episode. Some things have happened in the organization, around the organization, not in the organization, and we're going to dissect all of it. Me and Brian Anderson. Ryan McGuffey, Brian Anderson, back here on the White Sox Recap Podcast. The White Sox are red hot post All-Star break, one of the hottest teams in baseball. They've scored 35 runs in 4 games as we record this. We're going to talk about that. Andrew Vaughn is on a heater in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee is running with it. We're going to talk about how that makes you feel. Is it an Andrew Vaughn thing? Is it a Brewers thing? Is it a White Sox thing? Is it a collection of everything? BA was at all of the highlights and the events surrounding the 2005 World Series reunion, the Mark Burley statue, the tribute to the late Bobby Jenks. All kinds of stuff, some behind-the-scenes stories maybe, the inside scoops on some of the dinners, things you did not see on CHSN. We have plenty for you. A long episode here. We'll get into all that stuff, but we want to remind you that our proud partners at the Illinois Tollway, we've all said it before. If only I'd slowed down. The Illinois Tollway's new campaign is called If Only. I've seen it on the highways this summer. The speedway of 294, folks. Slow down. It's a powerful reminder that speeding doesn't just put you at risk. It affects everyone on the road. Every crash leaves someone wishing they had done things differently. Take the extra time, slow down, save lives. Lives, including yours and your families, depend on it. Plenty to discuss. The Red Hot White Sox, the trade candidates, because we are right around the corner from trade season. Why their recent play may have upped the number of guys being shipped out of town. It's that and more. Ryan McGuffey, Brian Anderson. It's the White Sox Recap Podcast, and it starts right now. Damn, BA, dude, it's good to see you. It's good to hear you. For the viewers, for the listeners, it's been a bit since we've been together. You heard the intro there, and there's a lot to dissect and discuss. But the first thing, we haven't had a chance to actually publicly, I guess I'll start on a somber note. We haven't had a chance to discuss Bobby Jenks passing. I mentioned it in the intro. Really cool to see the 2005 and reunion and how you guys honored him. I loved the beer toast. I thought it was the right move when Ozzie asked for a standing ovation rather than a moment of silence. Just the whole, the couple of weeks, because I know you and Bobby were close. Everyone loved him. I loved dealing with him. I shouldn't even say dealing with him. It was never dealing with Bobby Jenks. He was so fun and likable and lovable and easy to talk to. So just your initial thoughts on the passing of your friend Bobby Jenks.
Yeah, it's tough. I guess the only saving grace there is that we were able to prepare as a team and kind of prepare and brace ourselves. When something tragic happens in an instant, right? It could be super terrible and really devastating. But I mean, it doesn't lessen the blow, I'll tell you that. And I'll tell you, there's a few people, I told you, I think we've discussed it before. There's a few people in my mind that I always thought were like these like mythical figures, right? Like so big, strong, and like untouchable. And I just thought to myself, man, nothing could ever happen to this guy. And it just lets you know, it just goes to show you that life is short. It's fragile. And to take advantage of the time you have, especially with your family and friends. I mean, we spend so much time worrying and so much time worrying about crap that doesn't matter. And then you see one of your teammates, one of your brothers pass away from cancer. And it really just devastates you as an organization, but on a personal level as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think you and I probably when we met both thought we were invincible. And, we were in our minds in our young 20s. And it's just not the case. And I just love that the outpouring of support, not just that you guys, like the fans. I mean, he wasn't even a mythical creature because he was such a stud on the mound. He was not just part of that 2005 team like some organizations have put out there on social media.
That's great.
I mean, he is the second leading saves. Second in all-time saves for the Chicago White Sox. So we definitely will miss Bobby Jenks and everyone that he impacted, including you, along the way. Not to make a sudden shift or pivot, but the White Sox have been pretty fun to watch since the All-Star break here. They've won 4 in a row as we tape this, and the test is they got a big test this week with Tampa, and then the Cubs this weekend. they're averaging almost 9 runs a game, and they're kind of coming out guns a-blazing here. And look, it's the Pirates, but look, you could say it's the White Sox too, the way they've played the last couple of seasons. It's funny that we are sitting here. We could be talking in a week, maybe a week plus, that the White Sox have actually got to their 42nd win, something that they did not do all of last year. And then the one thing I want to ask you about, and I thought was very interesting, is that Mike Tauchman led a players-only team meeting on the Friday leading into the second half of the season. So they get back together. There's a team meeting, and it was to clean up some of the things that they had done late in the first half about who we want to be and who we want to show ourselves the rest of the way. And I thought it was interesting that it came from a guy who very well might not be here in the next 2 weeks. What were your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, shoot, I was in the studio at CHSN. I was there on Saturday, and they had clinched the series against Pittsburgh on the second game, right? The second game of the 3-game set. And, to your point, Tauchman, I think that's awesome. I mean, I know when we had our 20-year anniversary, right? I'm not saying we did anything. I'm not saying we said anything in particular, but, by going in there, we went in the clubhouse when the team was in there. The trophy was in there. All of our team was in there for the 2005 season. And, I mean, I know that if I were a younger player or a player on this White Sox team, I'd look at that shit and I go, holy cow. Like, look at these dudes, man. Like, it's a mix of everybody, right? Younger guys, older guys, like all from different backgrounds and, different parts of the world. But we gelled so well as a team that we're able to accomplish great things. And watching Tauchman play these past few games has been really fun. Not to mention the White Sox have been really fun to watch. And I don't know if we should give credit to the 2005 team, the current 05 team, or Dan Plesac with that nasty shirt. I'm sure he hasn't washed. I don't know if he's washed it yet. That's the big question.
Yeah, I've talked to him. He is not. The Fighting Plesacs. I'm calling him the Fighting Plesacs.
We'll see him tonight. I'm going to see them tonight. So I'll be on with Ruthie tonight. But, yeah, I'm going to ask Dan if he's there. I'm like, dude, you got to throw some Febreze on that thing.
I'd heard him on MLB Network say that he basically smells like a 15-year-old boy. He just rubbed it in Axe body spray, which could be worse actually than natural body odor. So, but hey, whatever it takes. I think what's cool about what you guys said about going into the clubhouse with the trophy, I didn't know that. I was out of town for the reunion. It broke my heart in some ways because I loved all you guys and it was such a great group. But now that I think out loud here, because I didn't know that, you guys didn't. It's not like the 85 White Sox were walking in the 2005 clubhouse to show you, hey, this is the tangible thing that you're actually going after. The teams that were celebrated before you were division champions. They weren't World Series champions. It was like, oh, look at this. This is the 83 division team and the winning ugly White Sox and the kids can play. There was no actual tangible evidence. If it was you had to watch Field of Dreams or something that felt so fake that it was real. And I think that does matter. Like, we all played. You and I played sports well before the pro. I never played at that high of a level. But anytime like a champion was remembered at a high school football game or a college game or whatever it might be, there was a little bit of like take a step back and pay your respects to these guys who actually went out and did something that you're trying to achieve. And not every organization's been able to do that. And the White Sox have never been able to do that. So especially when you're talking about 10, 12 rookies being up here together and taking the second half and truly applying it to what the White Sox want to be going forward, I think that does matter.
Yeah, especially, I mean, we got so lucky too. I mean, we had Tim Raines, Joey Cora was one of the coaches, Harold Baines was always coming on, Carlton Fisk. I mean, you got Hall of Famers coming in the locker room, but
you didn't have the group saying we did this. That banner out there, that trophy, that's ours. We did that because no one else believed in it except us.
No, you're absolutely right. So being able to bring that trophy, having all of us had our World Series rings on for the most part. I mean, those kids got to see El Duque, Jose Contreras, Mark Burley were in there. You can't tell me from a pitching standpoint or even any one of those current players. I mean, shit, I saw El Duque. He walked right up to me. And I'm like, I hope he remembers me. And he's like, Loco, what's up, dude? And I mean, that guy, I mean, we all watched that guy. I watched that guy when he was with the Yankees being like, this guy is nasty. And like hearing his story is incredible. So there's so much history and culture on our team and just some excitement as well. So, I mean, you got to believe that they saw that. And we're like, man, this is pretty cool.
All right. So you've been a little bit more close to the vest here because CHN's been using you a lot more here in the past few weeks and going forward. What happened? And then being at the ballpark that whole weekend, what have you learned about this group that you like and that you expect to see going into playing throughout the second half and past the trade deadline? Because there's been, I could feel going into the All-Star break that a couple of guys seemed like they may have hit a wall, whether it was Chase Mydroth and, Vargas didn't have a great June. But now coming out of that break, Miguel Vargas has homered a couple of times. Obviously, the veteran guys, I don't ever really worry about the Tauchmans or the Michael Taylors. I'm looking at guys like Kyle Teal and Edgar Carroll. It was good to see Edgar Carroll get a homer right before the break and get a homer right after coming out of the break. So what have you learned about this group and just watching them from close and maybe even from afar that you like and think this team's going to leave a good taste in your mouth in the second half?
Well, we had discussed throughout the year, right? Like, even though the White Sox weren't very good at the beginning of the season or towards the All-Star break, there's a different energy, right? But you can see, even watching the highlights, being in the studio, these guys, you could see and feel the energy with this team. They're getting excited. They're punch back, right? They're counter punch. Like, most times, like we had talked about on the show before, right? Like, if the White Sox went down 3-4-1 in the third or fourth inning, it was pretty much over. These guys went down two different times on Saturday and punch back and end up scoring 10 runs on Friday and 10 runs on Saturday. So you can see the fight in there. So whatever Tauchman said or whatever was discussed in that meeting is obviously working.
Look, you don't want to celebrate losing teams. You're like, what? But since June 1st, the White Sox, as we record this, are 18-25. They're playing, to your point, getting down 3-4-0. They're still worth watching. They still are going to fight. They may not come through. They may leave the bases loaded with one out and not come through in the seventh or eighth, but they're doing things collectively. What I love about this group and why I've liked seeing them out of I know it's this little fun spot here of averaging 9 runs a game is going to come to a halt at some point because it's baseball. But I do think coming out of the break, having this team meeting and going, damn, like we talked about it, we can do it. And seeing that they're doing it together, like a bunch of guys, we've talked about this all year about whether it was Mydroth and Carroll coming up together, and adding guys to the mix. We know Colson's part of the mix now. I don't know how many more guys honestly are going to make their way to Chicago the rest of the year. This might be the group, but taking that group, were you ever part of something? Maybe not in the big leagues because you came up when this team was at their peak. But were you ever part of an organization, whether it was high school or college, where you looked around and you're all stud recruits or you're all like blue chip players and saying, hey, we're doing this together, and what that was like?
Yeah, I don't know if it's ever a blue chip situation, but go in the minor leagues. My first team had Josh Fields, Ryan Sweeney, Casey Rogowski, myself, some like Brandon McCarthy was on that team. So of course, from a minor league standpoint, you're going, man, we're really good. And then, get to AA too. There's some stud prospects, but you can dissect this any which way you want. And obviously there's not big name guys on here other than Luis Robert, as far as like contractually. Andrew Benintendi got a big deal. But he was always more just kind of a really solid player. But one thing for sure, man, you look at some of these players and they're really gelling. And I know we'll discuss the Andrew Vaughn thing later in the segment, but for as much as they might say, Andrew Vaughn's doing okay, you look at this team now and like maybe that allowed somebody else to get called up and have an opportunity, and maybe that allowed the team to gel better.
Yeah, let's get to the Vaughn thing here in a second. But before we do, I just want to talk about, who I think there's been. I think with the way the White Sox have played in July, which is like I think 8 and 9, there's been a couple of guys that have shown themselves to me. Like Luis Robert's getting traded now. Like there's no doubt in my mind that Luis Robert has actually shown enough recently to say to make a team go. He's not going to get a big haul back. He's not. He created that, but someone I think will be willing to trade a flyer. I look at some of these guys now. I think Adrian Hauser's a lock. He might be one of the best pitchers available, which is crazy to say that they may have flipped him into an actual tangible prospect. I don't think he's getting a top 100, by
Hey,
any
speaking
means.
of him, real quick,
Yeah.
I watched him pitch the other night, and it was crazy because he didn't throw great, right? He got hit around a little bit, didn't have his best stuff. But here you are. If I'm another GM, I'm looking at him. You're going, hey, he did get hit, but he was ineffective because he caught too much of the plate. And I would take a guy like that saying, hey, man, you're throwing too many strikes as opposed to can't find the plate, can't find the zone at all.
So, I mean, he's a lock to get traded. Tauchman's going to be interesting because the White Sox he has one more year of arbitration, I believe, after this year. So somebody thinking they're just going to come in here and steal him for a bag of balls, it's just not happening. I do expect him to be dealt. Like if I'm the Cubs, their bench is terrible. I'd be going shopping for Michael Tauchman. I said the Cubs should have. I said this 3 weeks ago on the lunch hour. If I'm Jed Hoyer, I would call the Chris Getz 3 weeks ago and go, I want Hauser and Tauchman. I'd give them both to me because
I'd have called him for Luis Robert, man. I'm telling you, him in that ballpark with
they can't hit lefties. They're having lefties problems.
With the wild hair up his ass, man. I don't want to see that guy with his wind blowing out.
So we expect. Okay, here are guys I expect to be traded. You tell me yes or no. Hauser.
Yes.
Tauchman.
No.
Wow. Okay.
They got to keep something there. So yeah, you got to ride this momentum. I mean,
I'm going to say yes to Tauchman, but not.
Okay.
I mean, he might be part of a bigger package. He might be part of like a Hauser and Tauchman. Okay. Aaron Savali.
I got him, Stan. I just think he's had a pretty inconsistent year, even though he threw really well the other day. I think you can have him be your number 2 or 3 in this rotation and just keep eating up innings.
He'll be interesting. I think he's a guy that he could be traded on July 31st with 2 more good starts.
Yeah.
Somebody could be like, you know what? We need depth. We'll take a chance. And the White Sox, I think would make that move. Okay. Here's an interesting one. The Ethan Katz pitching lab has really shown itself in like the best way. How about Dan Altavilla?
You know what? Is that the kid that came in to throw the other night?
Dude, he's like 32 years old. He's since joining the White Sox, he's pitched in 21 games, 23 and a third innings. He's got a 1.54 ERA. I
mean, I think what they do, if it's a guy like that, I think what we're saying is all correct. But I think what I think we're missing is as instead of an individual situation like with the Luis Robert, I think what they do is they take him with an arm and then they go get a nice package.
Yeah, I mean, any of these guys in a 1-for-1 are bringing you, I don't want to say next to nothing. They're bringing you flyers.
Yeah.
But I could see throw-ins like, I keep using the Cubs, but like if anybody traded for Adrian Hauser and had left-handed hitting problems, Austin Slater could get that. Austin Slater has an 852 OPS against lefties. He's a platoon guy off the bench, but Austin Slater, I'm throwing him out there. Yes or no?
I'm going to say no.
Okay. I think Slater's a throwing type piece for a team that's seeking left-handed hitters. So I got 5 guys. Okay. If you just go down, like Leisure's not going anywhere. Vassell, I think, stays. Grant Taylor's obviously here. Steven Wilson's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I like him too. But again, I think Chris Getz I know how his brain operates. I mean, I know him well enough to know that it's like, hey, we need to move some pieces here, but you can't just completely go fire sale and have nobody left. And that unless you're the White Sox minor league players, then right now you're hoping Chris Getz gets rid of everybody.
Yeah, and Wilson, like he's under control through 2028, so a guy like that is going to require more creativity. All right, so like rather than go through every single name on the list, or I should say Luis Robert, yes or no?
Yeah, I got him being moved. In fact, Chris Getz probably went down there and said, listen, dude, we're going to move you, but I'd appreciate a little pep in that step because we're trying to get some blue chip or maybe an arm. And again, I still think they're going to get a decent player for him and a really, really good prospect, only because they're going to sell the look what this guy's capable of doing. Although they're not going to get 4 players, but they're going to go get a major league ready player, and then they'll get a prospect for him. I
think they get a Miguel Vargas type. And if they do, that's meaning somebody else's player that they no longer like. He was a top 100 player, 2-3 years ago, and the Dodgers just finally said, like, we're done with this guy.
Yeah, they want to get their Andrew Vaughn.
Like, could you get Beatty from the Mets? And I think the answer might be yes, because like he was supposed to be a high hitting prospect, hasn't really flamed out. The Mets are trying to win a World Series.
I love that call.
Like that's the type of
right. Beatty you never know, man. That guy's
he's a third baseman. Like he's that's where he actually belongs. I think you can make an argument. So if you go Colson to short, Meyer off to second, and you put Vargas at first, it's shocking that the White Sox have a first baseman problem, but they kind of do.
Where's Elko and need him? Come on, Timmy.
Well, he's trying to hit a curveball, my friend.
Hey,
all right, so I'm going to set the over/under total players traded from the White Sox 3.5. You taking the over? The
over. I'll say 4.
Okay, I'll take the over too. All right. Well, the one trade they already made, we talked about it, was Andrew Vaughn. I had no feelings when this trade happened other than, I like that move for the White Sox. Like, you're going to get more for Savali than you would have for Vaughn. I still believe that forever and always. They made the right move that Andrew Vaughn, once he was demoted, that was the right move. And I think we had seen the Andrew Vaughn experience play out. Since that trade and being called up to the Milwaukee Brewers, he's been with them for 10 games. They're 10-0 with Andrew Vaughn. Now, is Andrew Vaughn the complete reason that they're 10-0? No. He has a 1071 OPS. He has a 200 OPS plus. He's got 12 RBI. He had 12 RBI in his first 7 games, a Milwaukee Brewers franchise record. So I ask you, BA, because the Brewers are a really good team and they're a great organization at doing stuff like this. Is this a product of the Milwaukee Brewers? Is this a product of change of scenery? And is this a product of the White Sox dismal performance of development? Or is it all of the above?
I'm going to start by saying this. You know who the most bitter is about this trade is David Kaplan. You can start with that because for whatever reason, the Brewers are scalding hot. But I'll tell you this, when it comes to the White Sox development and the White Sox staff and all that, I'm not saying it's their fault. The dude had 5+ years to figure it out, but it's not, I'll tell you what, it doesn't look good. So,
no,
but it doesn't look good. And I know Marcus Thames probably is sitting there going, I tried everything with him, and he definitely did. But I think it's a combination of a change of scenery. He probably clicked with his new hitting coach. He got a different vibe, a different lease on life. Maybe he sees the ball better in that ballpark. It's a tricky one, but it's not a great look for the White Sox. But you take a guy, he's a first-round pick. I know when I got traded to Boston, did anything change? No. The only thing that really changed was mentally. I got a new hitting coach. I went over there, got kind of that breath of fresh air, a new landscape. And in the 15, 20 at-bats I had, I think I had 2 home runs, and then I had 2 home runs with the White Sox at 200 at-bats or something. So, there's that new lease on life and a change of scenery. It's a real thing. But a combination of it's not a great look for the White Sox, and Andrew Vaughn probably just was like, man, this feels great. I love baseball again.
I mean, so they sent him to AAA initially after the trade, and he's kind of, I mean, that's not easy for anybody going to a new organization, being shipped right to a new AAA team. He comes up here, he comes to a team that's already in a playoff spot, a team with a good lineup, certainly a great organization. I'm not as chapped as some other people because last year I got so much shit from the hashtag Birdland in Baltimore. They were coming at me on Twitter because of my excitement over the White Sox fooling anybody to trade Eloy. And they were like, some guy sent me a montage of like 12 slap singles that he had to the right side. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, I'm glad you're happy for a week. Let's see it play out. And he had like a 570 OPS and he's out of baseball. So yeah. I'm not going to I want Andrew Vaughn to succeed. It sucks that it didn't happen here. I do think he never really played in the minor leagues. I mean, he had a very brief cup of coffee. Then the COVID thing happened and he was at that alternate site. Then they rushed him up here and they put him in right field. I don't think that ever helped him at all, his legs. He's actually, I know it's only 9. He has a .2 WAR with the Brewers with a 200 OPS plus because he's a shitty defender. He is. And that's with all due respect to Andrew Vaughn. I really like the guy. He's one of my favorite dudes. But like he dropped a ball, like a routine ball the other day in LA that almost cost him the game. He's not going to do defensively, but whatever
drafted for one reason though, Guff. When they drafted him from Cal, is because he absolutely smacked balls around. I mean, he was so strong.
And that's fair. I mean, he won the Golden Spikes Award. I mean, it was a miss. a bad miss for the White Sox. And I think everyone's to blame, and that includes Andrew Vaughn. Like if you're a miss, you can't just point the finger without taking some type of accountability. I really believe that.
There's no doubt. I mean, but again, like the White Sox have been notorious. I mean, especially with me, it's like I'm not blaming anyone but myself. Shoot, I take complete ownership of my career, but I mean, I had hit at every level, but I got to the major leagues, and for whatever reason, it just didn't click. And does most of the blame, fall on my shoulders? Of course. But sometimes I look back, I'm like, man, I wish they just leave me be and just go out there and go play, because just off pure athleticism alone, I'm going to run into 15 balls a year. But I was always so consumed with mechanics, and that's just not how my brain operates.
Let me ask you a follow-up question to that. Did you ever – I mean, you had I guess in theory, so did Vaughn. When I think about this, you have a situation for 30-plus years at the White Sox first baseman where Frank Thomas, Paul Konerko, and Jose Abreu. And then he comes in as the fourth guy. You had to replace Aaron Rowand after winning a World Series.
Yeah.
How much do you wear that? How much? Like Andrew
wear
Vaughn,
a lot.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the paradigm has shifted, the culture a lot. When we just won the World Series, and Aaron Rowand just got traded, so I already had 2 strikes against me, right? So every time I made an out, and I mean every single time I made an out after I started struggling, the fans were screaming, "Bring back Rowand!" I mean, it never stopped. So do I think the White Sox fans were letting Andrew Vaughn have it? Sure, but they're never like, "You suck. Konerko is way better than you." I mean, fans. They're too busy holding up the sell the Team Jerry signs, and that's just a completely separate topic. But I get frustrated at the fans now, because one great thing about being a White Sox player and is you always could expect the fans to hold you accountable. But instead of booing the players, now they just boo Jerry, and you're like, hey, those guys are Major League Baseball players making millions. Like, if they're playing like shit, let them have it.
Yeah, well, I'll be interested to see how it plays out the rest of the way with Andrew Vaughn. And you know what? Like, if he is the reason that they take off and go deep in the playoffs, maybe I'll feel a little bit differently. I'll never not be happy for the guy. Yeah. But yeah. So let's talk in a month when Andrew Vaughn's a little more settled in, and let's see where the numbers are then. The only thing that should upset both of us is I think we both, in our preseason predictions, had him as our home run leader for the White Sox.
Shit, I know. I said, well,
you said 33 and 100, I think.
I said 30, I think, but guess what? Don't sleep on my guy here, man. Hey, it didn't have to be with the White Sox, right? Or could it be for the entire season?
Yeah. You know what? Fair. Since we both picked it, we should definitely let that play out.
All right, cool.
All right. So before we hop off here, the reunion by all accounts, the one thing you want to talk about the White Sox and what they don't do, fine. Okay. I think that there's credence. No one celebrates their own better than the Chicago White Sox. They do it first class. The statue of Mark Burley on Friday looked awesome. I love that you guys I was getting content from you. I love that you guys are all like with the fans out there on the concourse. I thought that was super cool. Saturday looked amazing. The way they celebrated you. They did the old intro coming onto the field. I mentioned the Bobby Jenks toast. And then Sunday we saw the 4 pitchers from the ALCS, the 4 complete games from Burley and Garland and Contreras and Freddie. So what was the highlight for you? Give us a story that people did not see on CHSN.
Well, first things first, man. You asked for content and you got it. You got the exclusive, and then I posted it because I'm just a
you're a media whore. Like you're a media whore. Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, I think that sums it up right there. Number one is that the White Sox may be struggling right now. They may not be the fan favorites as far as doing what they want, signing players. But my gosh, did they go all in? I mean, start to finish, flights, the way they took care of the family, the food, the accessibility, the staff was first rate. But one thing that's funny is just I think one thing the fans can't see is we get in this room right before we kind of get out there the first day, and you walk in the room and it's full of memorabilia, and you could just see everybody go I knew there was a catch.
Yeah, you're gonna slide all this shit. Yep.
Yeah, and again, we're happy to do it, but you could kind of see the players. One thing was, everyone had to sign a few hundred items at least, right? But then everyone had their own table full, baseballs, and for the position players, the bats. So I looked at my table and full of baseballs, and then I go to sign. There's one bat on there. I sign it, and I go, "Hey, you want me to sign these as well?" It was on Pasednik's table. They're like, "No, just that one." I'm like, "Oh shit!" So they only asked me to sign one, and everyone else signed. Pasednik and those other guys signed about 25. So,
hey, when you have a seat that still has the same color from 20 years ago,
that's cool. I'll take it.
The request might be more.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
What was just give me like the one, like if I said, hey, sum it up in one takeaway, what would it be?
Just seeing how excited everybody got to see each other. I mean, you expect for not seeing some, there might be, you never know. You don't remember like who liked each other and who didn't and stuff, but seeing how excited right when we got in, the embrace, everyone's hugging, everyone's taking pictures in front of the golden tassels, and they're giving out like all these passes to all the families, and just watching how excited it was. But I'll tell you one thing was great. I think the one takeaway was Mark Burley and his wife were all dialed in. You never see Burley dressed up, but his wife was, dressed to the nines. She was excited. But Mark Burley's daughter throughout the first pitch, and then his son sang the national anthem. So for me as a father now, I mean, I look at that and I'm like, Burley probably loved the statue, but being able to see his son sing the national anthem and his daughter throughout the first pitch again is pretty cool.
Oh, dude. I mean, I had those dad feels watching all the clips too. I mean, you think you made a diving catch in the blackout game or hit a home run to 2 homers off Felix Hernandez, and then your kid does it. And you score a touchdown and you get that feeling, and then your kid scores a touchdown.
Oh,
it's 40 times better.
Oh,
it's 40 times better.
Yeah, I can't wait till can't wait till my daughter's like does a recital and be like, oh,
oh, dude, yeah, I do not ever hide your two Irish guys. You think we're ever going to hide our emotion? Hell no.
I'm not afraid.
No.
What do you got there, pal?
Hey, look. So the guys from the 108 shipped us some stuff.
Where's mine? Yeah.
Oh, here's yours. Here you go, dude.
108. I'll take it, man.
Hey,
with my large dome.
Hang on. They sent us more. They sent us a bunch of stuff. And I got a message. Here we got Southside. So I want to thank the guys. They're the best. 108.
That's awesome.
Those guys. I mean, they're getting their own damn bobblehead. I think in August. The White
Is that
Sox.
the section 108? Correct.
Yeah, section 108. This is their slogan. Okay. So
that's funny.
I've claimed dibs on this hat, but we can fight over the other ones. But you and I, he said, this is what I got back. BA owes us one autograph.
Man.
And now that we know,
I do better than that.
Yeah, now that we know that you didn't have to sign as much, I figured a couple autographs probably.
I had carpal tunnel from signing so much, man.
Oh, really good. We covered a lot there. There's a lot from the way the White Sox are playing to who could get traded to Bobby Jenks, 2005 celebration. I'm really glad that you got to be a part of that because I know that you were just getting your career started, but it doesn't change. Perspective changes 20 years later, as you know. And I thought it was really cool that you were a part of it. BA, you're the best. Appreciate you being on. Look forward to seeing what happens here in the coming weeks. We're going to be talking trades. There's no doubt about it. We're going to be talking. I have a feeling we're going to be putting a bow on the Luis Robert era sooner than later.
Yeah, man, it's coming.
We appreciate you watching. We appreciate you listening to this edition of the White Sox Recap Podcast. I promise you, the gap between the next episode will not be as long as the one we just incurred here. For Brian Anderson, I'm Ryan McGuffey. Thanks for watching here on the Recap on YouTube, and thanks for listening wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back when news breaks or our regular scheduled program episodes drop when news drops. For BA, I'm Guff. We'll see you next time.